Picture it. Miami, Florida, 1990. 4 women in the second half of their lives sit around a kitchen table late at night, dishing out gossip, wisdom, and friendly digs as they dish out cheesecake. These women, Sophia Petrillo, Dorothy Spornak, Blanche Devereaux, and Rose Nyland, were the Golden Girls. And the sitcom following their friendship and foibles for 7 seasons remains one of the greats of television history. These ladies thoroughly enjoyed life and cheesecake, and they did so with each other far more than by themselves or with any of their many love interests over the show's seasons. 2 of the girls were related by blood, yet all 4 of them were family due to their deep bonds of friendship. These women broadened each other's horizons, affirmed each other's inherent dignity, called each other to live unselfishly, and reminded each other that kindness, even when difficult, is worthwhile. The Golden Girls put into heartwarming and hilarious practice what people throughout history have written on friendship, virtue, and the life well lived. All lessons which I think can help us develop our own friendships. Let me tell you how. Picture it was the trademark phrase of Sophia Petrillo, octogenarian, escaped resident of Shady Pines retirement community, and her daughter Dorothy's fiercest supporter and critic. Her many stories did not always have a lesson or even internal logic, but they did always enchant her audience in the show and on the other side of the screen. She was a veteran storyteller. Sophia would tell you that to be good at anything, be that telling a story, making marinara sauce, or being a friend, you need to practice it, and practice it a lot. Repetition is crucial to taking good actions and turning them into good habits that become second nature to us, what some call virtues. Virtues make life better for us and for the people around us. And the people around us and closest to us are usually the people who help us develop good habits and become virtuous. Friends not only allow us to have fun, they empower us to flourish as our best selves. Of all the stories Sophia told, the best was the one she didn't need to tell with words. Her care, if often veiled with a fine sauce of insults, demonstrated that living, laughing, and loving are not just words on a poster in cursive, but actions that any person can take every day, even into and beyond one's 80s. Sophia imagined and imaged an old life lived well for us and for her fellow Golden Girls, including her daughter. Life did not deal Dorothy Spornak an easy hand. A divorcee in her 60s due to the infidelity of her husband, 1 chromosome away from a potato, in her words. She taught English as a substitute and tried to put herself on the dating scene while living with her mother, red flag number 1, and 2 other women her age, red flags number 2 and 3. Rather than give up hope on what life had to offer, Dorothy in the show looked around at what her new situation had to offer and used it, little as it seemed, to design and enjoy a new phase in her life that in many ways was better than her previous one. She tutored, sang, got over her fear of flying, sought help for her gambling addiction, and advocated for her need for treatment for an invisible illness. And she did all this due in large part to her friends. Dorothy could have seen her life as a dead end, cut off all her other relationships, and shrunk into a smaller version of herself. Blanche, Rose, and Sophia did not allow that to happen. Dorothy's best self was not dependent on her ex-spouse, her income, or her age. Rather, it sprang from loving herself and expanding herself in love, kindness, generosity, friendship to others. Our best self can be discerned and developed at any stage in life. There is no age limit on friendship, the life well lived, or our intrinsic worth as human beings. Now, you wouldn't typically remind a friend of their intrinsic worth by saying, "Eat dirt and die, trash." But Blanche Devereaux was no typical friend. A widow like Sophia and Rose and a Southern belle in a class by herself, Blanche owned the house where the girls lived. She certainly had the charm, style, money, and throughout the show suitors attracted by all 3 to make her house a hopping bachelorette pad. Blanche could have let all these blessings go to her head, and she often did, bless her heart. Yet she also could have flaunted and flirted while living by herself, and she did not do that. Rather, Blanche put up an ad in a supermarket for roommates, agreed to have Rose, Dorothy, and Sophia as those roommates, again, 3 red flags for dating, and developed deep friendships with each of the girls. Humans cannot flourish in isolation. Whether you look to the observations of ancient philosophers, the belief in the creation of humans in the image of a personal God and even a tri-personal God, or the research of anthropologists, psychologists, and neuroscientists, you will find that we are social animals who flourish when involved in and committed to relationships. And not just any relationships either, but ones of mutual esteem, care, and honesty. We need each other, plain and simple. Blanche could live as fabulously as she did. She could really live because she was living with and for someone and something other than herself. She was living for her girls. She was living for friendship. Recognizing and rejoicing in the beauty and blessings of friendship does not mean that these relationships or our lives outside of them will be free of challenges, losses, or frustrations. Injustice oppresses communities, individuals betray and abuse their spouses and loved ones, seemingly innocent kids steal stuffed animals beloved since childhood. Sometimes life just isn't fair. What can we do when confronted with the suffering that marks every life and every friendship? Well, back in St. Olaf, people may have held a herring circus or whipped up a batch of Sperhoeven Krispies to lift their spirits. Rose Nyland, proud St. Olaf citizen, told such zany and, for many of us in this room at least, relatably folksy stories to the incredulity and exasperation of the other girls. Rose, like her stories, was a little different and even naive. She was also unflinchingly loyal to those she loved, courageously competitive, and deeply hopeful. Her cheeriness did not indicate a lack of hardship. She lived in an orphanage the first 8 years of her life. Her spouse died without warning, and she experienced ageism as she applied for jobs to supplement the fixed income from her late husband's pension. For all these misfortunes, Rose never stopped seeing the value in kindness and reaching out to others in friendship. She was persistent. 16 years preparing for the Butter Queen contest will do that to you. And she understood that despite the risk and pain that loving can and does bring, it delivers joy and fulfillment in far greater measure. Friends, widen our horizons, our confidence, and our hearts. Friends, for all the wild antics and tough conversations they come with, are worthwhile. That's what Rose, Blanche, Dorothy, and Sophia taught me. Friendship enlivens, teaches, challenges, and changes us. It brings us back to our core identity, outside ourselves to the experiences and wisdom of others, and into the self that lives life well for oneself and others. I ask you now and every day to picture it, that life well lived in friendship, and to imagine all the ways that you can reach and realize it in the circumstances of your own life. Then go and do just that. Gather together over ice cream or cheesecake, trade witty insults within reason, call each other out, and just call each other. Make all of your years golden years by committing to relationships of mutual esteem, honesty, and love. Then, whether you're living in Shady Pines or Miami's swankiest senior home, you can say, "Back in St. Norbert," and see your audience's eyes light up with anticipation for another story of the good you did, gave, received, and reveled in with your friends. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a friend.